Rocky Mountains National Park is one of the most unique and impressive natural paradises in the United States of America. For most who come here, the journey through this fascinating mountain world begins in the small tourist town of Estes Park that's located on the banks of picturesque Lake Estes. Even beyond the national park, nature dominates all. The Rocky Mountains are a magnificent sight. In recent years, Estes Park has developed into the largest town in this region. It's situated on the periphery of the huge Rocky Mountains Nature Reserve. For the many wild animals, both large and small, that live in the mountain area, the park assures their survival. The Rocky Mountains National Park covers an area of 1,000 square kilometres. It was inaugurated in 1915. The eastern section of the park, the area around Estes Park, has been made accessible for motor vehicles. The steep roads are a real challenge, particularly in the winter months. The journey on Trail Ridge Road provides wonderful views of the surrounding mountain peaks that are covered with snow throughout the year. Small mountain lakes and huge glaciers are to be found amongst the rocks that over millions of years have created these massive mountains. Geologists have calculated that the Rocky Mountains began to develop around 70 million years ago. Over time, they've grown to their gigantic proportions. A typical landmark of the valleys here in the Rockies are the many small creeks that wind picturesquely across the untouched landscape. Again and again, there are remarkable views of the captivating wilderness of this extraordinary mountain world in the northwest of the United States. The highest summits of the Rocky Mountain National Park reach as high as 4,345 meters above sea level. Around 30 million years ago, the mountain peaks in this region were even higher, and even compared with those in the Himalayas. Today, the Rockies are a real natural paradise. The local wildlife can be seen everywhere, and there's a great variety too. With their proud antlers, the Wapiti stag is without a doubt one of the most spectacular members of the park's indigenous animals. It's also the home of various majestic eagles. Of course, the Rocky Mountains also accommodate wild bears. Black bears and grizzlies are mostly to be found in the park's remote valleys. colourful blossom of the park's marvellous and diverse vegetation also catches the eye. Tall, imposing conifers, including several varieties of pine tree, dominate the dense forests. In some sections of the park, areas of pebbles indicate that the landscape of the Rocky Mountains is the subject of constant change. The first destination on our journey through the national park can easily be reached by car, and a slow speed allows one to enjoy the scenery at ease. The eastern section of the park has a good road system that's very well maintained. The picturesque Bear Lake lies within a forested area and is one of the most popular tourist destinations of the Rocky Mountain National Park. At high altitude, several paths, such as the Nature Trail, lead through the lake's natural landscape. Its beauty is truly spellbinding. It's not surprising that Bear Lake is the most popular photo shoot in the entire park. In addition to the amazing landscape, nature also shows off its more modest miracles, such as lichen. Since the foundation of the park in 1915, millions of visitors have enjoyed the natural splendor of this unique mountain world. The natural charm of the Rocky Mountains wilderness has always inspired man. Its enormous dimensions and geographical location in the northwest of America has made this mountain range a natural border. This mountain world was first written of in the 16th century when Spanish soldiers came here from Mexico. Later, at the beginning of the 19th century, it was mainly French trappers who traveled into the northern part of the Rocky Mountains. However, numerous important archaeological finds prove that this region had been settled far earlier. It was discovered that 12,000 years ago, prehistoric Indians hunted within this area of the Rocky Mountains. The legendary culture of the Nasazi Indians originated around 2,000 years ago. It also left its traces in what is today the national park. The history of this region is fascinating, but so is its diverse array of flora and fauna. Chipmunks are to be found everywhere, and the large conifer forests and deep river valleys provide the perfect habitat for a large variety of wildlife. For some animals that are threatened by extinction, such as the puma and mountain lion, the Rocky Mountains National Park is one of their final sanctuaries. Here, nature is a totally natural force. In late spring, plunging masses of melting water transform the appearance of the landscape in the deep river valleys. In summer, tourism is at its height. Then, the most popular sections of the park are often extremely busy. Although the journey from Bear Lake to Glacier Gorge is short, the winding road forces a slow pace. In the middle of the 19th century, this pathway led hundreds of thousands of settlers on the Oregon Trail through the treacherous terrain of the Rocky Mountains. Today, travel is far more civilized, thanks to a well-maintained road. Those who visit Glacier Gorge have several trails to choose from. Some are easy, while others are more demanding, but they each provide a good opportunity to explore the beautiful surroundings. The pathway to Alberta Falls is a mile long and offers many wonderful insights into the wonders of nature. The fertile forests in the valleys are particularly well known for the abundant splendor of their indigenous flowers and blossoms. Wonderful wild flowers are a glorious sight. The large variety of nature in this unique mountain world is also apparent in the vegetation of the Rocky Mountains. Alberta Falls in the south of Glacier Gorge is one of the park's most popular sightseeing destinations. White masses of foaming water race down several levels into the valley below, past ancient and mighty rocks. Over the years, the cold, clear water has shaped these rocks. The rocks often collapse, and new chunks of rock fall into the valley. Here in the Rocky Mountains National Park, Mountain rivers demonstrate the natural power that gradually reshapes the rocky terrain. Between the mid-mountain range of the Rockies, the main range and the western range is a large continental watershed. Each river that flows in a westerly direction eventually enters the Pacific Ocean. Here, in this natural paradise, begins the journey of many a watercourse. The mountains were given their most recent finishing touch in the Ice Age around 1 million years ago, when the rivers were transformed into huge glacial streams. Over time, the huge glaciers carved out deep U-shaped valleys. The end of the Ice Age resulted in many fast-flowing rivers. Several famous North American rivers have their source in the Rocky Mountains, such as the Missouri and the Colorado. This natural inhabitant of the valley doesn't appear to be fazed by the mighty power of Alberta Falls. It nonchalantly lands on a nearby rock. Here, the immense force of the rivers is more than apparent. The torrents can even uproot strong trees and carry them downriver. In some places, the trunks accumulate in tall piles and form natural, impressive dams. Steep-walled, deep abysses at the edge of the path often give the landscape a threatening atmosphere. The landscape is a reminder of the destructive force of nature. The mountains are not only the watershed of North America, they're also the climatic border between east and west. The trails in this section of the park are very good and lead visitors safely to see the most beautiful parts of Alberta Falls. Charming contrasts such as dead rock and close to that, magnificent wild flowers create a wonderful landscape that's full of surprises. On our journey, we frequently pass small, seemingly harmless mountain creeks. However, when the snow melts, they turn into great torrents of water. When this happens, the many paths situated close to the rivers and creeks of the Rocky Mountains become inaccessible. Where Where once settlers in their arduous search for land and a better way of life crossed the mountains, today walkers crowd the trails. The beauty of this mountain world was discovered long ago. Indeed, only a few decades after the legendary Oregon Trail, the first explorers came here. But not everyone who ventured here all those years ago came to see the natural beauty. News of the discovery of gold in 1858, some miles west of Denver, spread like the wind. Soon after this, many came here to search for gold. Fortunately, the surrounding forests remained unspoiled. Thus, they've retained their natural appearance right up to the present day. The road from Glacier Gorge winds its way in a northerly direction past Glacier Basin and the eastern park entrance close to Estes Park. In this region, the Rocky Mountains are at their most beautiful. The landscape in the area of Horseshoe Park is reminiscent of the exciting and colourful Wild West of old. Long before television was invented, the beauty of the untouched nature within these mountains was described by the written word. Hardly surprising when given all this splendor. This mountain landscape has also formed the backdrop of many stories. For anglers, the waters of the national park and their large quantity of fish, especially trout, have become almost legendary. A 250-meter thick layer of ice once covered this area. The ice gradually carved out this U-shaped valley in Horseshoe Park. Around 15,000 years ago, the ice began to melt. Today, nature manifests its splendor by producing many wild flowers. Among the most interesting plants in the valleys of the Rockies are the lady's slippers, trefoil, and the expansive Indian paintbrush. From Horseshoe Park, we travel in a southerly direction to Moraine Park. For those who don't want to travel by car, there's a regular bus service. The distant valleys of Moraine Park can be explored by way of a large variety of trails. Oh, it's a walker's paradise. Here one can venture deep into the wilderness, or just take it easy. There are fascinating sights everywhere. Within the dense forests that feature mostly conifers is also the pink wintergreen, a truly colourful sight. The gentle breeze blows across the mountain meadows that lie close to the forests. In some places, they look like an ocean of flowers. In addition to ice and water, the wind has also shaped the landscape of the Rocky Mountains over millions of years. By taking a closer look, one can see that even a simple rock can provide a habitat for various unique varieties of lichen. The incredible importance of this region for the survival of the natural and original mountain world was recognized at the beginning of the 20th century. An untouched natural paradise, protected from the encroachment of man, where even ground squirrels are secure. Since its foundation, this protected area has frequently been enlarged in order to create the largest conservation area possible. Each vegetation zone of the park is protected. The lower regions of the park are dominated by forests and meadows. The highest summits of the Rocky Mountains are in Colorado, where no less than 1,200 mountains are 3,000 meters above sea level. Not so spectacular, but still very charming, are the many picturesque valleys of the Rockies that have a tranquility all of their own. On the newly surfaced Bear Lake Road, we travel a few kilometers south past the Moraine Park Museum and into the area of Sprag Lake that's well known for its magnificent landscape. Sprag Lake is a popular tourist attraction. Its size is due to Abner Sprag. A short time before the foundation of the national park in 1915, Abner Sprag built a dam, so enlarging the lake. The reason why Abner Sprag did this was mainly to attract more visitors to his lodge. The bigger the lake, the better the angling. For 30 years until 1940, the Spragues kept their lodge that was once located close to the parking lot of today. Although the lodge no longer exists, many enthusiastic anglers still come to Sprag Lake. Here, anglers are kept well satisfied. Indeed, all the waters of the Rockies are rich in fish. The superb quality of the water provides an ideal habitat for many kinds of fish, such as the handsome rainbow trout. From the picturesque Sprag Lake, several fine trails lead across the closer surroundings of the lake past huge rocks and ancient landscapes. For thousands of years, the endless deer-filled forests of the Rockies were the traditional hunting grounds of the Indian tribes of North America. A perfect cycle of life. However, the Indians were gradually driven out from the land of their fathers by the white man. The legendary Rocky Mountains Gold Rush created several large settlements here. In the 19th century, wherever the gold diggers settled, there were saloons, hotels, and small shops. During the hunt for gold, nature was cast aside. Greed was rife. When one region was cleared, the gold prospectors moved on to plunder another. But it was not only gold prospectors who roamed the Rockies at that time. Various rogues and bandits also came here to seek their fortune. To a large degree, the myth of the Wild West originated here, where civilization and barbarianism lay side by side. The uprooted trunks of once mighty trees are a reminder of the devastating and unpredictable forces of wind and weather. Fires caused by lightning have since time immemorial been part of the natural cycle of this extraordinary ecological system. Even huge pine trees can fall victim to the storms. Luckily, most of the time, the weather is calm. One of the most practical and authentic ways of exploring the splendor of the Rocky Mountains is on horseback. Sprag Lake attracts a good deal of anglers, but the surroundings of the lake contain a large variety of further natural attractions. Even in summer, long after the snows have melted, the torrential waters of the roaring river are an awesome sight. As with Sprag Lake, the waters of Lawn Lake were also dammed by man. At the beginning of the 20th century, several farmers from the Loveland area dammed the river and thus enlarged the surface of the lake by about 2/3. They wanted to create a large reservoir in order to irrigate their fields. The idyllic scenery of Roaring River gives little hint that here, only a few decades ago, one of the biggest catastrophes of the region took place. The small dam at Lawn Lake became neglected, as the farmers eventually abandoned the area. Due to the remote location of the lake, regular maintenance of the dam proved difficult. The small gravel road that was built when the dam was constructed was no longer accessible, and the dam fell into serious disrepair. The 15th of July 1982 promised to be a sun-filled day, but the innocent sound of birdsong was suddenly overpowered by a thunderous noise. Shortly after 5:30, the dam at Lawn Lake collapsed and created a huge flood of water. Roaring River was transformed in only a few short minutes into a raging monster that took everything along with it that stood in its path, including ancient trees and massive rocks. Eyewitnesses said that an almost 10-meter-high wall of water plunged down the hill and left a scene of total destruction. A hiker who was sleeping in his tent close to the riverbank was killed by the savage flood of water. Water was not the only danger, as huge tree trunks, rocks and stones also swept everything away in their path. Fortunately, the park's rangers had time to warn those on a campsite of the danger that was racing towards them. Today, the waterfalls of Roaring River are the only reminder of the devastating floods of Lawn Lake. We travel by car through dense forests to the final destination on our fascinating journey through the Rocky Mountains. But it's necessary to be cautious here. The wildlife can sometimes pose a threat. The Kawanichi Valley extends into the extreme west of the park and is well known for its large numbers of deer and the particularly striking wapiti stag. In the center of a large valley in the Rockies is what seems to be a modest river, but in the more southerly regions becomes the mighty Colorado. Here, the border of the park lies parallel to the Colorado. Some kilometers downstream, it flows into Lake Granby. The Colorado River that has its spring here in the Rocky Mountains National Park is the largest and most important river in the southwest of the USA. The river is not only a natural border to the park, but serves also as a boundary between the federal states of Nevada and Arizona in the USA. In Mexico, the Colorado flows into the Gulf of California. Dense forests of Douglas firs and other varieties of conifer dominate the landscape in the higher regions of this land. The often strong westerly winds that blow storm clouds from the Pacific into the mountain area leave proof of their power within the mountain forests. The splendor and variety of species within the untouched plant kingdom in the many diverse regions of the national park are quite remarkable. Thanks to the early establishment of this unique national park, the beauty of its fascinating mountains has been preserved for future generations. The vast wilderness in the west of the USA has survived here in the Rocky Mountains right up to the present day. A fascinating tribute to the amazing natural world of North America.